All right, it's the holiday season, of course. Investors are adjusting those budgets to pay for gifts or meals, but of course, rising costs might make saving and planning harder than expected. Joining us now for the steps to take to make sure you've properly addressed inflation in your financial plan is Sandi, Bragar, certified financial planner and chief client officer and partner at Aspiriant. Thank you so much for being here, Sandi. So obviously this is something that's very much on people's minds, especially as they're looking at prices this holiday season. So tell us what people can do, what steps they can take.
Yeah, Julie, the first step is to take a look at life insurance. Life insurance is talked about oftentimes as an income replacement tool, but it's not really. It helps provide resources to cover funding for VIPs in the event of an untimely death. And so when we work with our clients who are corporate executives, family business owners, and entrepreneurs, we're always taking a look at what their goals are. And oftentimes they have a goal related to caring for and supporting their family. And this means that in the event of an untimely death, they want to make sure there's resources available for funding. So let me give you a quick example. We're working with a young couple with 3 young kids. The wife is an executive. The husband is staying home with the kids because the wife is really, really busy. If something happened to her, they want to make sure that the husband has enough money to help raise those kids, fund all the things that they would have funded had she been living. And so we take a look at what those costs are in this rising inflation environment. Those costs have gotten a lot higher. And we're comparing the cost to what the couple has in terms of their financial resources today. And because there's a gap, we're filling it with life insurance. The same is true if something happened to the husband in this scenario, because if he died, the wife would want to take some time off to be with the kids, but she'd ultimately want to go back to work and she needs some more childcare. So we're looking at both sides of the equation for this particular couple. And we think that folks should be looking at their goals. And if survivor support is an important goal of yours, make sure you're looking at life insurance to make sure your coverage is adequate in this high inflation environment we're in today.
Within this high inflation environment that we are in, I mean, where should people be looking to kind of cut back on expenses, or should it just be kind of a blanket reduction in some of their financial planning that they look to do with the rate of not just inflation, but where their income measures up to that, where other kind of the financial considerations at a household really come into play?
Brad, when it comes to spending, we think people should be looking at what different categories they're spending and how those categories line up with their values, what's most important to them. I'll give you an example. I'm working with a client who I met with last week. He's on a budget. He's wanting to stretch his resources for the rest of his life so he doesn't have to go back to work. And he was shocked when we were looking at year-to-date spending because he had exceeded his budget by so much. So we took a look at the different categories and we overlaid that with what's most important to him. For this particular individual, spending time with family and friends is really important. He's an adventurer. He likes to travel. He often pairs spending time with family and friends with his travel. So when we were looking at his expenses to try to get him closer to budget in 2023, the first thing he decided to do was cut out some expensive club memberships that he has. Those club memberships have been fruitful for him. He's enjoyed them, but they're not the most important thing. And that was an easy area for him to cut back on. He also wanted to spend time traveling again in 2023 with friends and family, but he's going to do it differently. Instead of traveling to new cities and meeting friends there, he's going to travel more often to visit friends and families in their location, invite them to see him, and he's going to spend a little bit more time preparing in advance for his international travel. With a strong dollar, it's going a lot further, and he wants to make sure he's targeting countries where he can stretch that out and really get back into his budget. And so when we find that taking this values approach to budgeting helps people really find power and confidence in their financial circumstances. And we think that's really important in times like this when the economy is in flux, and so are investment markets.
Sandi, I want to go back to her talking a little bit about life insurance. In this inflationary environment, are there some do's and don'ts when picking a coverage plan?
So you want to make sure, again, as I was mentioning, Brian, that you have all of the goals that you want covered, but you need to make sure that the coverage is affordable within your plan. So you want to make sure you're really taking a look at what are your financial resources today in the event of a contingency. If you're looking at life insurance, you want to look at all the different types of policies that are out there and find the one that best fits your needs. One thing that we like to do with clients is stack life insurance policies. So if a client needs $1.5 million of insurance, rather than buying one $1.5 million policy, we're buying 3 $500,000 policies, maybe with different terms. That allows the client to reduce the overall cost of that life insurance package, but meet their expected needs for funding for their survivors if there were an untimely event, untimely death were to occur.
Sandi, really important, obviously a somber conversation, but an important one, obviously, for people to have. Thank you so much for being here. Sandi Bragar, Aspiriant Chief Client Officer and Partner. Thanks.